Hello, my name's Sophie Llewellyn-Smith. I'm a staff member here at the European Commission, and I'm going to give you a short speech today for Consecutive about cosmetic surgery in Greece. It's not very technical, but you do need to know some cosmetic surgery related vocabulary, things like nose jobs and liposuction. I'm sure you can imagine the sort of thing. Okay, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'd like to talk to you about cosmetic surgery in Greece. I'm sure you know that Greece has had a hard time of it recently. The government has imposed a very tough austerity package to try to curb debt and deficit. There have been swingeing cuts in wages and pensions, rising unemployment. Youth unemployment now stands at a horrific 57%, and there's been a whole string of protests and demonstrations in Athens particularly. In the midst of all this, a surprising statistic emerges, and it is this. According to ISAPS, which is the International Society of Aesthetic Plastic Surgery, in 2011, 142,000 procedures were carried out in Greece. ISAPS carries out an annual survey, you should know, and this means that, on average, 1 in 79 people in Greece has had some kind of procedure like liposuction or eyelid surgery or Botox, a nose job, a boob job. Greece ranks second only to North Korea in terms of the numbers of procedures carried out per 1,000 inhabitants. In South Korea, the number is 1 person in 77 on average. In comparison, the UK lies in 16th place. Meanwhile, of course, Greece has made drastic cuts in medical care. In 2009, government spending was 14 billion euros on the healthcare system, whereas in 2012 it was just 9.5 billion, which is a huge cut. Hospital budgets have been slashed by 40%, according to the medical journal The Lancet. There are shortfalls in staff and medication, and up to 35% of all Greeks have no health insurance. Despite all of this, in the year 2011, in the midst of an economic crisis, Greece rose even higher in the international rankings of cosmetic surgery procedures. What's the explanation? Why is this? I was reading an article about all this recently in Spiegel magazine, and they interviewed a very successful cosmetic surgeon in Athens who sees the economic crisis as an opportunity. He has been able to cut his costs, mainly because the anaesthetists that he works with have reduced their costs. The private clinics in which he operates have reduced the costs of the operating theatres. All this means that he can offer a nose job for less than 5,000 euros. And his take on this amazing statistic is that in times of recession, in the middle of an economic crisis, people need to hear even more, "Wow, you look great." It's even more important for them to get that validation. So that's his explanation. Spiegel also interviewed a psychologist who had his own view on the matter. The psychologist felt that beauty plays an important role in the Greek psyche. Since antiquity, beauty has been a very important value in Greece, and Greeks have a very aesthetic view of life. And an additional factor is that Northern Europeans will talk more, for example, about relationships and love if they're on the psychologist's couch than Northern Europeans. Northern Europeans have a tendency to talk more about work, the satisfaction that they get from their job. But Southern Europeans, including Greeks, are more interested in talking about relationships and love. And final factor, Greece is lagging behind in the perception of women as emancipated, equal companions. Their appearance is their currency, perhaps even more so now in these straitened times. The crisis and the lack of jobs could force them back into their old role, which was one of looking attractive and getting married. Personally, the last thing that I would want to spend my money on would be cosmetic surgery if I had very little money because of the economic crisis. I would look for ways to cut my spending, but still have a healthy lifestyle and look good. For example, instead of going to the gym, perhaps I would take up running. But to each his own, maybe that's just me, because it seems that Greece is not the only country where the trend I have just described is visible. Italy lies in third place in the international ranking I've told you about, and we all know how the Italian economy is doing. And a final example, after the recession in the United States in 2008, Americans spent less on rent, on clothing, and on food, and they spent more on breast augmentations, liposuction, and gluteoplasty. Thank you.